Um, so, Yaro, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
this. So, the very first thing that Brian was talking about, um, I don't know if you have any experience with this. So, I've used Save an Open Page quite a lot.
Yeah, thing is, that works only in Capybara specs. And
Right.
Aspec just has a bunch of Capybara methods for certain things. It doesn't have this method save an open page.
Yeah, so whenever I used it in the view specs, I just got a blank page, opened it in browser.
Hmm.
It was pretty useless. And yeah, it was actually Sam's post on Stack Overflow that got me to the solution. Um, and since it seems to me, it seems to be a useful thing to have this because view specs exist,
Hmm.
and it can be useful to actually have a look at what you're working with. That was actually how I got to understand that Mercury Editor was hijacking the edit functionality. It wasn't going to the standard Rails edit form. It was going to its own path, basically.
Hmm.
So the alternative solution, like Brian is concerned about cross-platform functionality, so I have this here now using the Launchy gem to handle the opening of the file.
Hmm.
And now David's concern is whether or not this /tmp is going to work on Windows.
And probably wouldn't.
And I don't know enough to say, but um, so there needs to be a way to make the pointer to the file somehow universal, platform independent. But I don't really know how to handle it.
From what I don't know, I don't either, but from what I've seen, like on things like, for example, like you know how in Linux there are quite a lot of uses of dev null to send
Yeah,
something to oblivion, and usually people just have an if statement. You know, if Unix kind of use dev null, if Windows use this.
yeah, okay, so
But you
yeah,
know, but my other concern is there a way to connect save an open page for Aspect? Because I'm seeing that I'm seeing that that people are using the save an open page in Aspect. I'm just reading the Stack Overflow.
yeah, I think it's really specific to the view specs. At least that's my
Well,
understanding of it.
they're using this in their environment, in their helper. So maybe that's what you need to use to get the save an open page to work in Aspect.
Yeah, I guess I need to read more about it. Save an open page, it didn't fail. It actually, it worked in a sense, but the page that it gave was blank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, it doesn't it doesn't throw any kind of an exception. It's a valid method, but for some reason, um, I think the difference here is that with Capybara, the way it works is that let's say, the way you would use save an open page, you would say visit this link and
Mm-hmm.
then save an open page. But here, since we're not visiting a link and it's just rendering a view from within the view spec, there is no page to open for it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think that's exactly what this. Can you see the text I put into the chat?
Just a second.
No, the chat doesn't Hangout chat.
So this
Yes,
would be,
I
yeah,
think people are using this to turn it on.
so replacing integration with Vue should take care of it.
No, 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 no. I mean, they're putting this into their helper, the spec helper RB file,
Yeah,
into the Aspect configure block. Wait a second. Yeah, if you open up the spec helper, it's in the support. Support, spec, support. Where's the spec helper? No, that's not the one. Wait a second. No, you need spec support directory.
Yeah, that's where I am.
No, that isn't right. Where's the? Wait a second. Let me open it.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's in the root spec folder.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
open this, and basically, so this is the configuration file for RSpec. And yeah, try putting that inside the RSpec configure block. Is this the? Can you just scroll up? Is this the configure block?
Yep.
It is. Okay, yeah. So try this and see if this works.
Okay, so then let's say this is the easiest one.
Although maybe
Yeah,
that it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's still blank.
Maybe that this works only for the for the new RSpec integration tests. The ones which look just pretty much like Cucumber but are written in RSpec.
So what do you think changing this to view specs?
Yeah, try that.
No, same thing.
Listen. How about can you pass rendered straight to launch open, or launch opens only a file? Right, it opens only a file.
I think so. Yeah, if I looked at the.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, it opens a file or a URL, but. Well, but since Save an Open Page is a cross-platform method, then there must be a way to save a file cross-platform or in a platform-independent way and then have Launchy open it. So it's just a matter of...
Well, let's have a look in the source code. I mean, that's the beauty of Ruby. You can always have a look how it works.
So we need to go to Capybara then, I suppose.
Yeah, if you just go to RubyMine, we can have a look there. Just do a search. I think that would be easier.
Oh, wait.
Oh no, it's better if you right-click on the Capybara directory and specifically search there. Is there a search? A search?
It doesn't seem that way.
Right, I see. If you, I think if you press Control F, then you'll have a dialog where you can specify the directory.
The Command F doesn't do anything at this point.
Right, it's Mac. That's why. I don't know. So if you just go to General Find, there is a way of specifying the directory to look under. No, I think this only looks in the project.
You think so? I think it's looking in WebRat. It says at this point.
Really? Okay.
It's claiming that that's where it is.
Okay, that's cool. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, but this is no, but I mean, it is for WebRat, and
But you think Capybara is a different?
no, I'm
Is it
just
different?
wondering. See, it says. Da, 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 da. Oh, wait a second. But I mean, let's just have a look how they do it. They save it to Rails root TMP file open. Da, 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 da. Hmm.
Yeah, there must be a Capybara implementation of this too.
I mean, but this, yeah, but this also looks like, I mean, a good enough implementation of it.
So basically, this syntax with this kind of a slash should be good enough for any platform, it seems. Because basically, see, it defines the file name here as blah 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 slash webrat.
Well, I think so, because I mean, this is done by the file library,
Yeah.
file module, and I guess the file module has the way of handling the cross-platform issues.
Okay.
Let's have a look, by the way. I mean, how does file handle the cross-platform issues?
Where do I go for that?
Just hold Control and click with your mouse on Open, on File Open. Try going back and clicking on Open, not the file itself, but on Open. Then it should take us straight to the Open method.
Sorry.
You know, the one on line 13.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. How does this work?
There's nothing here.
This is a stub. So who's it done by? I wonder. It's file new. Right. Okay. So this is a stub for file new. So then just yes.
File new is here, at least it seems to be the same thing.
Well, that's interesting. So. Let's see.
I guess the easiest way would be just to get somebody on Windows to try it out. I don't know if we'll find anyone.
But I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure. Okay, try going to the IO library, not the file open, but IO. I think the easiest way would be just typing IO new and then right-clicking on that.
Sorry, typing what?
IO, big letters, IO. No, I mean like typing in your source code, typing io.new and then just right-clicking on it. Control right-click. Yeah. So let's see. How does this work? And this is a stub too. Where's the implementation? Right. The implementation is done in C or C++.
All right, so we won't be able to really look at it then.
That makes sense. All right. So the question is, I just wonder, is IO? Um, okay, I'm looking at the C++ now.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious. How does this happen? Right, file, wait, this is file stat. I don't need file stat. Aha, found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The file module is cross-platform.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether you use the backslash or a slash. No, in fact, you have to use the backslash, as in, the standard for Linux, and that will work on Windows as well.
Okay.
And also another way of constructing the path, the correct path, is using the join method.
Okay.
So when you do a dir join whatever, it will substitute slash or backslash depending on the platform.
Okay.
So you're quite safe there using the TMP directory, although not the root TMP. Use the TMP inside the Rails root.
So I need to append the.
No, just delete the slash. Because by default the root by default the current working directory is the Rails root.
Right. Okay.
So that should work fine.
Okay. So after all this, what do you think? Is this a method that's worth leaving in there?
I think so. Well, to be honest, I never had sort of a need to display the view spec page. I would just do a puts rendered and just have a look in the HTML. But I guess for some people, yes. I mean, if you found it useful, then yeah, then somebody else will find it useful. Okay.
So I'll, I guess, in response to Brian's comment, then.
I usually tell the guys on the code review. I mean, usually we have a conversation about, like, when I write something like, this looks very complicated. And then somebody answers me, how is this complicated? It's really easy. And I say, well, at least if one person finds it complicated, then it is complicated.
Right. So if at least me found it useful, then it is useful.
Yeah, then it is useful.
Okay, I like that logic. Okay, so I'll leave this in here, and I guess I don't need to wait for an answer from him. I can just resubmit
Yeah.
Recommit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh yeah, and this his suggestion to use build instead of create. I did a bit of reading on this, and also about this build stubbed method. Um, so from what I understand, and I can send you this link if you're interested. Basically, what build stubbed.
Oh yeah, I read this article. Just
Yeah.
I couldn't understand whether what happens with those stub methods.
Well, it looks to me like it doesn't stub the methods as much as it. Oh well, yeah, stubs out the methods that interact with the database.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the real advantage is that it stubs out where it uses build to create any associations instead of create, which hits the database again. So yeah, I'm not sure.
I can see how that is useful when it just creates an object and it fills in all those fields the association fields.
Yeah.
But regarding, as I said, Brian's main concern is that if you change the method, and then you got the point, yeah. If you change the method in the model, but your test will still pass because you have stubbed out that method, even though the method doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So so I'm not sure. I would just use build. I would just use build instead of create.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what methods it actually stubs out, because, like I said, from what I see in this article, is it stubs out a handful of methods that interact with the database. But as far as I can tell, it doesn't stub out any of the object's own methods.
But are you stubbing out the methods here?
No, I'm not stubbing out anything. I'm basically.
Are there any? Let's have a look. Are there any associations created here?
There is at least one, and actually it was me who created it. So there is this here. Document has versions, and I actually explicitly call factory girl create to call the version factory.
Mm-hmm.
Elsewhere, I'm not sure. Okay, so here, for example, this is an article factory, and there is a user. So if we use build, this will actually call factory girl create user. But if you use build stubbed, then it will only build the user object, not create the user object.
Right. Yeah, then I would use build stubbed.
Okay.
Because you're safe. You're not stubbing out any methods yourself. So
again, that's as best as I understand, what this build stubbed actually does. Okay, and then everything else. So yeah, with this RSpec 3 compatibility, like I said, everybody who's responded seems to be in favor of going with the explicit type declaration. Brian himself asked a question, but he didn't really provide an opinion. Sam Preeti, I'm not sure what his position on it is. He just mentioned the two options, but
no, I'm pretty sure his position is to specify it implicitly. My position is the same, and John's as well.
Okay, so I'll leave all those in place. I won't take them out then, because yeah, the alternative would be this. What Sam Preeti says, that we would turn on this option, but I think for future compatibility, that seems to be.
Exactly, because that is just a backward compatibility option.
Right. Then yeah, this was just left in there by mistake. This Sam Preeti clarified for him, so there was nothing for me to do there. That is just a comment, and then yeah, I started addressing all that, replacing the shoulds with the new syntax.
Mm-hmm.
and the same here. This allowed to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that should be all I have to do. Um,
Yeah.
so then once that's finished, I just push a new commit.
Yeah, just push a new commit, call it something like code review changes,
Yeah.
and then add a comment saying that have addressed all the code review comments.
Okay.
So then that gets posted into Slack, and people know that the full review has been updated.
Okay.
I usually write something like updated in accordance with code review comments or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I should be pretty close to doing that. I just want to I just want to go over everything one more time and just make sure that I addressed everything.
Yeah, although I had a look through all the changes. To be honest, I think you've done everything that could have been done.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't, anything spectacularly different and
Oh,
difficult.
one thing is that um, this story about refactoring aspect, there are several things in it. I mean, one of them is change the syntax in accordance with the new aspect syntax.
Yeah.
Second thing, have a look what happens with hitting the database and stubbing out methods. And another thing is just have a look generally. Is there a way to refactor the specs themselves?
Yeah, I guess I need to take a better, yeah, I would like to take a better sort of, take a step back and look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was going through it step by step, I really get focused on the one step that I'm working on. And
Example, I always pay attention to, wait a second, what spec is this?
this is the index, but actually we probably shouldn't bother with it because this is the one that's going to get deleted anyway.
Oh, yeah, I just want to have a look at it anyway. So this
Sure.
is index projects.
This is documents, this is views documents index.
Just a sec. Just.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just want to open this. So this is index documents. Let's have a look. Oops, what's this? That's it. So, for example, one thing that I always pay attention to is yeah. For example, okay, this is not the case for this spec, but it always happened that people put quite a lot of assertions into one spec block.
Right.
So instead of one if something, they just have expect, and that is considered not as a good practice because when it fails, you're not quite sure what it failed with.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
And another thing, to be honest, what I really don't like when people create complex logic inside the block for testing. Like here, for example, they have a loop. Well, they have an each loop, yeah, for each document. And that's another thing. I mean, if it fails, you're never sure where exactly did it fail, on which document, out of all those documents.
Okay.
I guess, although on the other hand, I guess in this case, this is probably okay because it's quite, I mean, because we have only 2 documents being created. Although myself, I would just write, I would just write it without the loop.
So you should have explicitly, you should have, in this case, the edit link for document number 1, edit link for document number 2.
That's how I would do. Although I must say it looks uglier than it looks in a loop. Um, I don't know. I mean, this is. I'm not. I'm not pushing anything. This is
Yeah,
for you to decide.
yeah,
Because I think this looks a lot nice, and it's okay with me. But when I write a spec, I always write it explicitly, so when somebody reads it, he knows exactly what is being checked.
right. Yeah, I can see that point. When I came into these specs, the only thing they were doing, they were basically in each of these it blocks, they were only testing one document.
Hmm.
And it was me who put the loop in here, basically because I didn't want to copy paste the explicit statements. But yeah, I can see the point of it that um,
Yeah, but as I said, in this case, I think it's okay because we have only two documents. But for example, in projects, we're creating a project, we're creating documents for each project, and we're creating child documents for each document.
right,
And then that gets tested in a loop. And then when it fails, you just have no idea what exactly failed.
yeah, I can imagine that. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind for something more complicated. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, hopefully in this case, like it's two identical dummy documents being created and tested, so there is really no reason to think that one of them
Okay.
is.
By the way, the TinyMC editor, I
Yeah.
didn't get a clear idea. Is there a Markdown plugin for it?
That I haven't checked. I know that there are quite a few plugins for it, um, but I would have to research it before I could tell you.
That'd be pretty cool. Although, as I said, I quite like Markdown, but the only reason I wanted Markdown in Mercury, so I don't have to deal with HTML. I just hate the HTML it creates.
Yeah.
It's really messy, and then it's really difficult to edit it.
Okay.
Really. And I got a feeling that TinyMC creates a much cleaner HTML.
Um, I can I can probably try to find an example because, like I said, I did use TinyMC in a project of my own, but I guess there is no way to actually save. Like you can, if you go to this page, the TinyMC homepage,
Oh,
you can,
I have yesterday. I played around with it.
yeah, but I
And as
guess you
I said,
can't.
it looks like the HTML it creates. It's a lot nicer,
Yeah.
and I really like the option that you can go to View and ask it to show blocks.
Ah.
Yeah,
Very nice.
and then you know exactly what's going on because in
Right.
Mercury you never know what's going on.
Right. Right.
It's like you're
Yeah.
choosing a font, you start typing, but the font is different, and then you have to go into the raw HTML to find out that it's actually inside something else, not what you expected.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. My problems with Mercury, I guess I haven't used it as much as you, but my problems just are from a simple user interface perspective, and also, like I said, the fact that it hijacks the roots, um, so that you have to go to there's the separate Mercury editor path. Um, like it basically takes it out of the conventional Rails routing system.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Regarding the interface, the Mercury interface is very configurable. You can make. By the way, you can make the size of the toolbar any size you want. You can change the icons. It's fully configurable. You can change just anything.
Okay.
And my plan for Markdown was just adding a switch to the toolbar where you can
Right.
press the button and go into the Markdown mode or go back to the HTML mode.
Right.
And regarding the edit regions, thing is you create a region in your HTML file and you give it an ID to the div. And Mercury edits only those regions which have an ID. They don't. It doesn't edit all the regions on the page.
Okay. Yeah, what I was referring to, I guess, more is that in this case, you have this toolbar that is right here wrapped around the text box. It's very clear what it
Oh, I
applies
see.
to.
I see. I see.
There is no
Yeah,
multiple feed. Yeah,
but the whole idea of Mercury is a little bit different in that way, that you can edit the whole page.
definitely. Yeah.
You can edit the title, you can edit the header, the footer, everything you can edit. Although I must agree with you that for our project we're just editing the body of the document. We're not editing anything else.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice in theory, but in practice, I suspect that it doesn't come up that often.
Yeah, I agree. That's right.
If you see my screen, I just searched for TinyMCE Markdown.
I have as well, but this
Yeah.
looks like just a reference for Markdown syntax. It doesn't look
Oh,
like
okay.
a plugin.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I got all excited that there is a plugin
Great.
for it, but then it doesn't seem so.
Okay. Well, I understand Sam's point too, that this is, a relatively minor enhancement, I suppose, compared to, for example, that email functionality or whatever else is in the backlog in the tracker.
And in fact, my concern is even bigger, is that we have all kinds of stuff in the backlog, all kinds of stuff, and we have all kinds of stuff in the icebox. And I see the main problem is that when those stories were created, people, because I'm advocating that before you create any story, or before you suggest any story, first you think yourself, now, is this going to get our project closer to our goals? Is this going to improve our indicators? And that is the number of people pairing and the number of satisfied customers. And the problem is that a lot of those features people just put there just because they thought, oh wow, this is cool, let's do this.
Right, right.
And we have all kinds of stuff all over the website one, which is pretty useless for the goals, but a cool feature.
Yeah. Do you think it would be a good idea to have like a client meeting where we go through this and basically decide whether this is still relevant or not?
No, the backlog is absolutely relevant because I've been cleaning it up for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, the backlog is absolutely relevant, but it's based purely on Sam's vision.
Right.
And
right.
And that's what I was that's what my conversation with Sam was, is that unfortunately not many people are aware of Sam's vision. And it's not very clear, and that's why I want to have a vision which is concise, clear for everybody to read. So whenever somebody thinks of a story or picks a story from an icebox, he can always compare it against something,
Yeah.
And he compares it against the vision, and he looks, okay, this fits into the vision, let's work on it, or this doesn't fit on the vision. Let's change the vision, but that's another question.
Right. Yeah. Well, what Sam pointed out, I understand that again, this kind of tricky situation is that new coming people, if you want to build up an interest and excitement, you might not be able to always steer them in a particular direction. You might have to give them a little bit of a freedom.
Sure, absolutely. But this is my opinion too. Again, we need to make it clear for all the members that there are goals for the project itself, but this project exists, in the first place, to achieve people's goals, because people are coming here to achieve their own goals.
Right.
And that's the balance. We need to provide an environment where people can achieve their own goals while on the same time achieving the goals of the project.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And that's why we need to show the goals of the project. And we need to explain to people that you're free to work on anything you like. But if you can, please make your work somehow related to the goals of the projects.
Right. Yeah.
And that way, it will be easier to steer. It will be easier to advocate for this feature, and it will be just easier, in many ways.
Yeah. You know what I think would help a lot in that sense is if there was a very active core of people. Um, in the first, I think the first Scrum that we had, you mentioned that, Brian's, busy, Semprati's busy, other people that I've never even met are busy. If there was, in addition to Sam being a client, if there were 4 or 5 people available for pairing who would be able to, convey this message to newcomers.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the thing is, um, we used to have a situation at the beginning of the year where we had quite a few active members, and there's also Thomas, who is the project manager, and I mean he just temporarily handed over the role to Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas, who was the person, basically. Sam had this idea of Website One, and he found this guy Thomas, and Thomas was very keen on implementing it, and so basically Thomas is like the main guy behind the project.
Okay.
Now, the problem that I found, because as I said, I came into the project, before it didn't exist, and I was there from the very first commit to the project, the first commit of the Rails structure, structure. But the thing what I found is that there are some members which are very active, but then again, to be honest, from the very first day, I wasn't clear what is the vision behind the Website One. And from the very first days, I have created this document on GitHub wiki saying, okay, guys, so let's agree upon something. And then at the same time, I got, like Thomas was saying, we don't need this because everybody understands what this project is about. And I was trying to explain, but that's not true. There is at least one person who doesn't understand, that is me. I don't understand what the project is about. And I found that, that was a bit of a problem because there was an active group which decided to themselves what the project is about. And then, it was very, very difficult to have your own opinion about it.
Yeah.
Because they were just, steering their way. And that's exactly why I want this to be a public document where everybody can contribute to, where everybody can discuss on it. Because otherwise, if it's just inside somebody else's head, it's very difficult to steer any direction.
Sure, yeah, I understand, and especially I think that's the situation now. Is the old people who had that vision in their head, they've left. New people like myself are coming in, and at this point, almost nobody has the idea anymore at all.
Thomas is coming back soon.
He is? Okay.
Yeah, he'll be coming back in a couple of weeks. But the thing about Thomas, he is very how would you call it? Opinionated. He's very strong about his opinion.
Right.
And it's absolutely it's extremely difficult to make him consider other opinions.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I was advocating, let's have a public, a public way of discussing this. Mm-hmm. Because when you discuss this one-on-one with Thomas, it's very difficult, honestly.
Right. Do you think this is, at least to some extent, up to Sam then to say that as a client, this is, this is the direction?
Yeah. Well, yes, but the thing is. In reality, Sam is very keen on the project. He's the founder, but as you can see, he's extremely busy.
Yeah.
He's amazingly busy, and he can only spend just a little time on something. And when there are some issues, when there are people who have different opinions about things, he just prefers, you guys just work it out yourself.
Right.
And I mean, if there is a strong issue, then he comes in and he sort of says, okay, guys, so let's regard me as a client and let's do it this way. But again, for Website One, I mean, it's a unique situation which is difficult, but at the same time, it's very beneficial that everybody can be a client. But to avoid chaos, when everybody is a client, we just need a way of unifying the current state of affairs.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with you completely that having a very clear idea of where we're going would be extremely valuable at this point.
Yeah, and also as I said, like for example, with your suggestion of TinyMC, right? As I said, I like to work on things I like, and I would prefer other people to work on things I like. It's just ideally they should be in the same direction, roughly in the same direction as the project. But before, when we didn't have a vision, and we don't really have it at the moment, but before, when we did have a vision, you would come up with an idea, and you would just hear from people, no, we don't need this. We don't need this, let's work on another thing. And you're like, but wait, guys, why don't we need this? Well, because we don't need it, that's it.
Right.
And that is really frustrating.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you think, I really want to contribute. I have this good idea, but nobody is listening to me, and But on the other hand, it's a very good experience for people, particularly if you never worked in a distributed environment before, because this is just the way it happens with people interaction. Some people want something, other people don't want something. Some people like other people, some people don't like other people. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of challenging and it's fun.
But yeah, I still think that if you can make a case instead of I like TinyMC better than Mercury, if you can make a case rather something more like it will make it easier for users to edit documents on the page. So you tie in your little idea, you tie it into the bigger objective. And then it becomes much easier to argue that it's no longer about personal preferences. It's more.
Exactly, because that's what I want people to understand. You are free to work on anything you like, but hey, I give you a tool how to make it easier to convince other people. And this is the tool. Just find a way of tying you up with a vision. If you find a way, that's it. It will be really easy for you.
Okay. I keep staring at the Agile Venture, at the Pivotal Tracker website. I want to actually go through all the backlog stories in the Icebox and see what's in there. Just in terms of, I understand that ideally I should basically take story number 1 in the backlog and start going at it.
Well, I mean. This like gives you points. If a story is related to the vision, it gives you a point. If a story is already in the backlog, it gives you a point. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you feel strong about anything else, just choose anything else, or in fact, suggest your own story.
Yeah, I think I'll once that vision is clearer, let's say, I think I'll feel more comfortable suggesting something, because, like I said, right now I'm coming completely from the outside, and my objective is to brush up or polish up my coding skills, really, and that may or may not be what Website 1 actually needs right now. But once I know what the site is interested in, then I can see more clearly how what I want to do ties in with what people want it to become.
Sure, and don't forget, you're always free to set up your own project within Agile Ventures.
Yeah, I've thought of that too.
It's not the best time because we don't have many developers around, but you're always free to start something. And to be honest, myself, I've been waiting for some project to come up that I could join. In fact, I have a few ideas of my own projects that I would like to do on Agile Ventures, but I just don't see at the moment. I just don't see the right people to work on it.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want it to end up within the list of all other projects which is just dead, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of curious about, looking at this list of current projects, which ones are actually seeing much activity.
It's the bottom three.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's the first three projects which are like the strongest ones. The PP scheduler is the fork of website one, which is John E's idea to sort of have a dedicated scheduler for, like Google Plus events page.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Dedicated scheduler for programming. Funniest computer ever is Sam's side project that he's been running for a couple of years. There's a competition. There's a competition where there's like a fight between programs who's funnier. It's actually pretty cool. Sam's been working on it, I think, for a while now.
Okay, I'll have a look at it.
Cordelia is kind of half alive. That is Thomas's project and Pete's project to get women involved in programming.
Okay.
And in fact, I think they even got some funding from what is this? What's the website for getting funding?
Kickstarter.
Yeah. Although not from Kickstarter, from some other project.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, they got some funding for that.
Okay.
The Odin project is pretty much the same as Agile Ventures, but from another guy on the west coast of US.
Yeah, I looked at that. It seems that they're active.
They are, but they're in a completely different time zone, and it was very difficult to communicate with them. But in fact, I think the guy, the founder of Odin project, he has now started a school for programming. Things are going somewhere.
Like a physical school, you mean?
Like online school.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
The OSRA is the project by Motasem, who appears sort of once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah.
The ESAS textbook is I think the project is finished nowadays. It's the.
Yeah, I have the book. I'm using it for the course right now. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a task of creating an index for it, basically indexing the whole book.
Right.
About all the other projects are sort of not really alive, as far as I know.
Yeah.
That's about it. In fact, I even have a few projects which people are quite happy to pay for. I have a few friends back in Russia who have companies that they need some automation tools, which would be pretty cool to make with Rails. Some of them need websites, some need some other things.
Yeah.
They're quite happy to pay, and they're quite happy to work with me. But I don't see that Agile Ventures is ready for this at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand that.
I'm still looking for this a way of managing a project like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from a completely different background. I've been working in manufacturing for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with completely different people, and it's quite challenging for me to manage a project with programmers because they're just completely different, and everybody thinks he's a star.
Right.
And and everybody thinks that the way he does it is the best way to do it.
Right.
And I do it as well. So I understand the problem.
I see that already. Yeah, that people pick away, and then they get very defensive if you try to tell them that there's a different way of doing it.
Very defensive. I mean, it's ridiculous how defensive people get, and it's like, I always try to explain to people that, guys, don't be so defensive about your code. I mean, you'll write more code. What's the problem? If somebody deletes your code, you'll write some new code.
Yeah.
It's not exactly too difficult to write a code. It's like to write something.
Just gives you more to do. You should be happy about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing I'm talking about. I'm still finding a way to get people involved and to be open for feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is, by the way, it's now we have code reviews and pull requests.
Yeah.
We didn't have that before.
Oh, really?
Before that just didn't work out. People weren't ready for feedback.
So what would happen? You submit a pull request and you expect that it just gets accepted?
Oh no, there was Thomas, who was like the last, resource to make a decision.
Okay.
It's great we have a code review system at the moment, and I hope to improve it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to create a few guidelines how to do code review so anybody can do it, no matter how young the member is. So anybody can do a code review.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be a very good experience too.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's actually it's quite a good psychological experience how to find a way to tell the guy that maybe there is a better way of doing it.
Right.
And sometimes you have to be really careful about choosing words. Like, for example, last night when I was writing a comment for your pull request, and I wanted to say that there was a best should be respect to. And then I realized that I put a mask there. And then I was thinking, I should put that in negative. I should remove the mask because it's just cold.
Sorry, Aaron, my sound is really awful on this one.
No, I think it's Boris. The sound is kind of...
I almost can't hear what you're saying.
By the way, you can... Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I was saying that like last night I put a comment saying all should statements must be replaced with expect. And then I was thinking, oh damn, I should go back and change that must into can be. Because some people would get offended.
Yeah, I think I'm fairly easygoing when it comes to that. I don't know if you saw my discussion with this guy, Mikhail.
I have, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like that when his first comment on what I wrote was, I'm sorry if this sounds harsh or something, but English is not my first language, so he tries to be careful before he says what he wants to say. Yeah,
I mean, it's good that some people understand it. Unfortunately, not everybody understands it, and sometimes you have to be really sort of easygoing with it. Just relax. Take it easy.
Right. Yaro, I think I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Listen, thanks for your help again. Like I said, I think I'm pretty close to recommitting everything here. I think it's ready to go, and hopefully it'll get accepted. And then, like I said, I think my next task, I'll go through the Pivotal Tracker and basically take a look at the stories and.
Excellent. And please leave a couple of comments on below the revision. Just if you don't have something to contribute on the document itself, just say what we are missing at the moment. It's like, guys, I don't know what your vision is. Whatever your vision is, like, it's very difficult to jump in.
That's an example.
By the way, do you have a link to your discussion in Slack with Michael? Because I just cannot find it.
Just a second.
That's exactly why I'm asking people to comment on website 1 on Discuss, because you can always go back there and in Slack it's just sometimes so difficult to find.
Oh, this would be, I think it's under website 1.
Because it was like in comments.
Yeah, it was comments to my.
How do you open comments? That's the thing.
Yeah, so I can see them now in my search results.
Right. What do you put in the search results?
I searched for his name actually,
Right.
Mikhail.
Let's
Uh,
see.
you know what? What if you do this? If you go to Files here
Uh-huh.
and open my post, then I think all the comments are under.
In
Yeah.
files. Wait, where are the files?
So if you're in the website one channel,
Right.
you open this. See this button here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So you open that, and you have here messages, and here you have files.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I have all file types, posts, snippets, images, Google Docs. Hey.
So when I did,
Right. Okay. That's it. I found your post, and then I can see comments. 10 comments
yeah,
here.
yeah, just
That's
click on the post, and then all the comments are after.
okay. I love Slack, but this is not obvious.
Yeah, it's awkward. You have to know what you're looking for to be able to find it.
Exactly. Okay, that's cool. So
All
it
right.
was great talking to you, and
Yeah,
I hope we
yeah,
go back to the discussion.
yeah. Same here. And
I'll be putting getting started guide together today. I will
yeah,
post. Please have a look at that as a new user.
okay.
If that would be helpful for you when you first came in.
Yeah, I'll try to leave a few comments with basically my experience of coming in and what I would have liked to see, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.